How does the audio sound?
Fantastic.
Okay, cool. Can I do that really cool intro thing?
Yeah.
There's no really cool intro thing.
Oh man, you really got me excited there.
No,
like a song and dance.
totally. Well, I have to say, I'm definitely honored to hang out with you guys. Like, without a doubt, B-Stives. Could I call you B-Stivs, bro? It rings off the tongue. So
Everybody
much
fucking
easier.
calls me B-Stivs anyways. I'm used to it.
That's because that's what your name is.
Yeah.
It's not
It's B-Stives.
Beehives. That's what I think.
I've been called B-Stivs a million times in my life. So I'm okay with it. Paul calls me B-Stivs a lot of times, in fact.
Really?
He definitely knows my name.
I like
I don't
Stivvy.
remember doing that, but I'll take your word for it.
Well,
I think it's funny how people call you B-Stivs.
we have the Veggie mates here, and we have Paul Thomas from Good Charlotte, and we have B-Stivs from Veggie
Thanks
mates.
for having us. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I'm curious about you. I want to learn. I want to know what got you into, what gravitated you towards Cardano, and at the same time inspired you to do a veggie themed NFT line.
Yeah, I could get started with that one. So just me and Paul both, we literally talk about blockchain all day. We've been in this space since 2017. Got in during the ICO craze.
Me too.
And okay, nice. Yeah. And saw Charles's talk and kind of painting the future for, us in the first world countries. We take a lot of things for granted, like our identity. And seeing him kind of talk about, well, if you grow up in another country, you don't have those same advantages. And what does that do? And it really just opened up my eyes to what the technology could do. So that was part of it. But then as I started understanding more, I realized, proof of stake is actually a better way to do things. And I got into Binance and got really deep into like DEXs and dApps. But the problem with Binance is it is very centralized. And so I was trying to look for what's the blockchain that is decentralized, that's proof of stake.
I have a question.
And yeah.
Are you able to, because, people have said over and over, oh, this crypto is centralized, this one's more decentralized. Are you able to tell me a little bit about why Binance is viewed as centralized? Because even me, I catch myself saying it. I'm like, wait a minute, what does that like even fully mean?
So Binance is like a private company. I think they're not out of China anymore. I think they reestablished their location, but that's why it's so smooth and fast, right? Because they go to their own nodes, and so that's how like Solana, same thing. They actually own a lot of their own nodes, and so when you're doing a transaction, that's how they get that rapid speed. Because with Cardano, because it's so decentralized, it's inherently a slower system because you got to go out to all these different places. But like with Hydra around the corner,
meaning stake pool operators.
Yeah. They're exactly. There's like more consolidation. Binance, I don't know the exact details, but I think they might own all their own.
And so are they still? Or is at that point, if it's centralized, is it not proof of stake at that point? Because there's no
it's still proof of stake. But so I could still stake with Binance, but it's like their nodes.
But it's okay, got it. So they're still proving that people are staking their currency, but it's just centralized. Wow, that's interesting. Honestly, I didn't know it was that elementary and clear of a distinction. So I hope that explains it for a lot of other people too. So basically, just to sum it up, you're saying that Cardano is decentralized because stake pool operators are all over the world and it was at their own leisure. But Binance and Solana as well, they are centralized and they built their own nodes and run their own network.
Yeah, and I think Binance is like more extreme on that end, and Solana, I think it's like 60-40 or something like that.
Got it. But nevertheless, how many stake pools does IOHK have?
I don't know that exact number off the top of my head.
Is it even, is it a few? Do you know?
I think it's a really high number, like 70-80% independently operated, but I could be wrong on that number.
I'm saying does Charles Hoskinson? I mean, he has one stake pool, right? Just for fun, I think.
Yeah, I don't know the details, dude.
I think he has a rats pool, King of the Rats, if I'm not mistaken.
And my guess is like he's able to do it just like any other individual
Correct.
is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know there's like a thing happening where there's people who operate multiple stake pools, and there's a little bit of pushback against that.
Yeah, there is some controversy for sure. I don't have enough knowledge to fully weigh in on that. However, I've heard really convincing arguments from both sides.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so those were like two things I cared a lot about. And Cardano just like really stood out for me. It was a top coin, and what really brought me in and got me involved was when smart contracts came out in September. And I came over to the ecosystem looking for like, oh, how are these smart contracts going to be used? And realized that they weren't implemented yet. Right. So I was like just trying to figure out something we could do with it. I was on a text chain with Paul and Joel and like a couple of our buddies, and we found NFTs as a part of this, and we bought like a couple little ones, but then it wasn't until Clay Nation came along where we really like.
So we all got in about the same time, huh? Like September.
Is that when you got in?
Well, for NFTs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got into NFTs in September, but I've been in Cardano since they like launched, and I started heavily accumulating in 2018, towards the end of 2018. Nice. But thank you. Yeah, but as far as NFTs, I just got into them September.
Yeah, I was in on NFTs on Ethereum back in like 2018, 19.
Wow, what kind of NFTs were there then, except other than
crypto punks, crypto kitties?
That's it. Those are like the twos.
Those are the two that I played with. Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't until that somebody offered me 70 ETH on my CryptoPunk that I realized like.
Whoa.
Why? Yeah. So then I just went down the rabbit hole of like exploring NFTs and discovering all the utility behind them and how it like kind of like redesigns what ownership is in our social platforms and just in the the way that we talk to each other through the computers. Yeah. And so like financial stuff aside, I really enjoy using these things. And I think after we get past this whole hype of flipping them, they will still persist because they will just have a function in our society.
Right. And what kind of like, when you say those words, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like NFTs are going to be a function when...
I mean, like, why are we doing mortgages on paper? You know, why couldn't it be a smart contract?
You know what trips me out is pink slips for cars. That trips me out. I've been waiting on one for like 5 to 6 months now. And we're talking about like mail and then redoing it and then getting it. Wait, no, not this address, that address. Like, yet why isn't it just on the blockchain at this point? However, that can be implemented. Like, I would love to see that already.
So I'm like pie in the sky with this space and its possibilities. I always was with crypto in the beginning, and then seeing like I thought it was going to be dApps for sure. That was going to like be the thing that had people come in. But it's NFTs, and then NFTs built in conjunction with dApps, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's been cool watching a lot of people come into the space attracted by NFTs.
Yeah, 100%.
My company is actually looking at NFTs. I work for DocuSign, and one of the, when you think about when you buy a car, there's a title and there's like an original copy because you can't give two people the exact same paperwork or else two people own the car, right? So what's the actual original copy, the authoritative copy, they call it? Why not make that an NFT? So it's a one of one. And then when you transfer the title over, you transfer the NFT over, right?
It's always the one of one, yeah.
Yeah. And so like I think what's going to happen is centralized companies are going to start leveraging decentralized technology. I do think that's going to be another wave, and they're going to have the funding. They're going to have the technology to like really build this stuff out. Because for a company like ours at DocuSign, like it actually makes a lot of sense to do all that. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of legislation and legal stuff that's going to get in the way.
I could see DocuSign.
battle.
I could see DocuSign going to the next level with that kind of stuff. Like almost even, I don't know. I just saw like something in my head where it was like DocuSign could practically rebrand to be like a full-blown smart contract type thing, because a lot of questions fall to my head when I think, why don't you just make a pink slip an NFT? Well, it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of not complications, but a lot of hurdles that you have to jump through. Because it's like, the only way I'm picturing it right now, which I'm sure there's better ways, is like, all right, so what does that mean? Does that mean you send it to my NAMI? And then when I sell the car, I send it from my NAMI to like their thing and just like a click of a button? Like, I don't think it would be that decentralized because it couldn't be accepted in the society just yet, so I wonder what kind of how that would be built and accepted, and like, would you just hold it on a ledger or something? What if you lose it? It's the NFT, it's the one of one. So I don't.
Well, you might, and this is where like so here's one of the other things is when we talk about being your own bank, right? And you have all this wealth on your little thumb drive or a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it, and your house catches on fire and you didn't properly back it up. You could lose everything, or somebody could come by your house, take your stuff from you, steal your wallet. Like there's a lot of risk with having all your funds versus going to the bank, right?
So I guess there is some kind of balance where maybe it doesn't have to be an NFT. Maybe it can be fungible, but it can be kind of centralized and to the point where it's like, all right, we can't live in the wild, wild west because it won't work like that. It's like that'll just get too crazy, right? So
I think that it's gonna fall somewhere in between. Honestly,
exactly, I agree, because we need some of it I think there's been kind of a movement in the world, or an awakening in the past 10 years or so, where it's like, I was actually thinking about this on the way here. Oh man, and it was such an interesting thought that I even wrote it down. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it. It's like, speaking of like the wild, wild west and the world. I remember what it was, but it's so like off topic, but whatever. Like, why can't we, almost like the cereal soup question before the thing, why can't we vote on the way, like, we can vote for like all the political shit, but why can't we vote on the way that like the world is perceived in terms of 7 days a week? Like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, what if like, why were we born in a world where we only have 2 weekend days? Or at least in America, those 2 days are treated as weekends. I'm not 100% sure of the rest of the world, but it's like, why do we grow up in a world where we did get 7 days? Like, because I find myself getting so routine sometimes, where it's like, okay, I do this every Tuesday. Oh wait, it's Tuesday again? All right, here we go. And it kind of conforms you, and I don't like that feeling at times. Sometimes it's comfortable to be in routine, but I was just thinking to myself, in that whole like decentralized rabbit hole, it's like, why, or like the freedom rabbit hole. Yeah. Like, why do we not get a chance to decide on our days or how our city treats them, right? Like on Sunday, most everything is closed because it's just like how it is in America, I guess. But like, what if we wanted like 3 lazy days out of the 4 or whatever?
I know, right? Actually, that kind of reminds, it's because it's all perceptions how we perceive it. Because 365, like, obviously it's the sun going around the world. Right. There's logic there, but it could be 5 days. Right. Right. That's also.
That's what I'm saying. 5 days a week, 10 days a week, 24 days a week.
I just saw this YouTube video. There's this tribe, and they use the exact same word for the color yellow and blue. And if you show them a yellow or a blue object, they can't discern the difference. They literally see them as the exact same color because they only have one word for that color. And that's an example of where you can only perceive
Right.
what you've been taught. And so like, yeah, we think in this 7-day work week, but in reality, like, is that what it really is? Or is that just how we decided to define it? I mean, if anything, the moon calendar is probably the most real sense of, time.
Right. So why is one moon cycle not just, why isn't that a week? Or why, or like, what was the point of the months and stuff? Why is there 12? And why 30? And Are
there 12 moon cycles? I assume. I don't know.
That's an interesting question. Although I feel like sometimes it overlaps. Like I feel like it's always roughly 30 days. But then, if it's always roughly 30 days over time, doesn't that just totally end up like, it's not like it's an average. It's
I think they separate a lot. Yeah, I don't think like Lunar New Year is the same every single year. I think it like moves. Yeah.
Right. No, yeah, and our calendar, they just kind of fudge the numbers with February to make it all work out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
February to even
exactly. I can't fucking keep track if February is 24 days or 4 days or 800 days. Yeah, that's so true. Huh? They just butchered the February. Yeah, it got me. Yeah, it really got me thinking down that.
Yeah, well, that's this whole idea, right? Self-governance, being able to control, your own destiny, right? Yeah. Why are we just molded by our surroundings? I mean, that's just product of being human, right? It's just the human experience. But that's what's really nice about this experience in crypto is getting to meet people from all different walks of life without even leaving your house. It's pretty wild.
Right.
And like, at our project, we have people from all over the globe that we talk to on a daily basis. And if we had met in real life, who knows if we'd be friends? But
that's so true,
we
right?
Communicated on Discord, we know a lot about each other now.
Yeah. That's really interesting. It's like we have in this, I mean, at the end of the day, like it's like whatever, life will go on. But the way that this life went, we have all these friends online that, like you said, we probably would never make in person without this. And if we, bumped into them at a bar, we still may never be friends with them. And funny enough, I've had experiences where I meet someone online and then like we're like, oh yeah, let's get together in person, and then it's like, it can get it can get dry, yeah. Or you're like, yeah.
So where's the computer? So
yeah. Did you check the market today? Oh.
It's interesting because I grew up behind a computer for a lot of my life, and I've been in like remote sales for a good chunk of my career. So even in my professional life, I'm talking to people through a digital medium.
Right.
And there's one school of thought where it's saying like this new wave of technology is making it so that we're more disconnected than ever. I actually might argue and say it's the opposite of that, because if you think about it, before there were cars, before there were telephones, the way people would talk to each other is they'd have to like physically meet. So how often would you actually talk to that person?
Yeah.
There's all this bandwidth, right? Or you could use like a carrier pigeon or the Pony Express. And then they invented the telephone. And now all of a sudden, I don't need to travel across the world to talk to you. I can talk to you in seconds.
Yeah.
And now there's the advent of the internet. And this is where I see the metaverse going. But what it's doing is it's making it so that we could connect with people. Like I could get on my Discord, talk to 10,000 people all at once. And then when I want to have a personal conversation with one of them, I could jump into DM. We could get on video. We could get on audio.
Yeah.
But the metaverse is going to make it a little bit more immersive and make it feel more real. And I actually think there's an opportunity where it's going to connect more people that would have never connected in a million years. Because like, if I went to a concert with 10,000 people, I literally couldn't talk to everybody. It's not possible. Even if I was just like, hey, my name's Brian. Hey, my name's Brian. Hey, my name's Brian, right? But I could do that in Discord. I could do that in the metaverse.
Yeah.
And I really do think that's the power. And then you meet all these people from all around the world, different walks of life. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize people in Singapore were so similar to me. I would just assume we were different human beings, but like we're actually pretty alike. And I'm going to Singapore literally to meet some people I met in the NFT community because I'm like,
Totally.
they seem pretty dope, you know?
I think you have an amazing point. Like you made a bunch of really good arguable points, and if I were to have fun, I could argue both ways as well. I want to say what I wanted to say while you were talking was like you're absolutely right. However, at that point, it's just based on whatever you as a human value more, and I think naturally most people are inclined to value speed, or at least whether they think they value it or not, I think they get more value and like more development and like more like you probably get left feeling a little more whole when you have an interaction in person. Although not all the time, right? I can hang out with someone I really don't connect with and feel so empty when I leave, and I can have a phone call with someone I really connect with, or at least think I really connect with, because it's all about how we perceive things, and then really get left feeling whole. So it's and I think there's also a little bit of both. I think naturally, even if you are with the human you don't connect with, I think in person you'll still get some feelings that you'll never be able to really get from a phone call. Or you see where I'm going with this? Like I could argue.
They're all very different experiences, and I definitely don't try to promote people to spend their lives in front of a screen at all.
Right.
I don't think that's healthy for anybody.
Right.
But as we all went through COVID together and found that the screen became our, interactions with society.
Best friend and worst enemy.
Yeah. Then we found different ways to make it better. Or just we're finding ways to make it better when we are on the computer screen. So we are more connected while we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's very different than it was back in like the early chat days,
How do you guys feel about algorithms? YouTube algorithms showing you what they think you want based on.
Man, you're talking about some stuff. I like it because I do have thoughts on that. And
let's hear them.
I don't want to get all conspiracy theorist here, but
Go for it.
the thing is, people don't realize that media is controlling your mind.
Right.
And when you watch one side or the other side, a lot of times they're feeding you exactly what you want to hear to divide you, and they tell you what's bad about the other side. But what you don't realize is you're being brainwashed by your side too. And then YouTube does things where like they feed you what they want to, and then if somebody comes in and they give an opposing opinion to what YouTube thinks, they're not going to publish it. They're going to censor it. And to me, the censorship is a scary, scary thing, because YouTube, media, Disney, like they're propaganda machines, and you really do got to watch out, because they seem like they're the good guys, right?
Yeah.
How's Mickey Mouse gonna hurt me? Mickey Mouse ain't gonna do anything to me. But what you don't realize is like they're controlling your mind from the inception, and they're painting this story where they're the good guy and they're here to help you. And maybe they are in ways, and they're doing what they think is best for you. But like, to me, that is a big part of why I'm passionate about decentralization, because it does scare me that, yes, there's freedom of speech in the States, but at the same time, how is that perpetuated? How is that translated to us? And how is that being filtered down to me? Is if somebody goes on and has like an outlandish opinion that YouTube doesn't agree with, they're just not going to post the video, and I'll never see it.
Yeah. I watched during COVID. I was in the very beginning for the first week. I was like, you guys are crazy, and like people were losing their jobs. I was like, this is absolutely insane. And then second week, some people that were agreeing with me started to go on the other side. They're like, oh no, this is bad. Stay home. And I was like, oh, what? And then by like the third or fourth week, I was finally like brainwashed enough to where I was like, okay, like I don't really have a choice but to believe this shit. So I was just like, all right, maybe it is kind of like a little wary. But then, as time went on, I was like, fuck, man, my gut was onto it. But okay, whatever. That's not where I was going with that. Where I was going with that was I watched this this video by this like doctor in Australia or something. I don't remember, but these videos are gone now off YouTube. But it was basically, it was like a series of 4 different series or 3 different series, like an hour or 2 each. And it was all about like Clinton stuff, Trump stuff, a lot of Disney, a lot of Disney manipulation. How they make certain movies sometimes for the time of the world. And there was a conspiracy that I don't remember the movie because I just wasn't old enough, but it was a movie where they brainwashed, and I think Will Ferrell was in it and Ben Stiller. Does that ring a bell?
Zoolander?
That one. So they were saying that they were showing how by making this movie they were practically desensitizing the world to you know what I'm trying to say, to show you that's crazy, that would never happen because it's in a movie, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would watch that and I was like, all right, that's kind of interesting. And then I thought back and I was like, about what was it, 6 months ago or a year ago, this movie called Infinity War came out, where all of a sudden half the population disappeared. And then a year later, COVID comes, and I don't know, a good chunk of the Earth is has had horrible repercussions of it, and it's weird. It's man, sometimes I really think that that is possible. They might be releasing these big movies to kind of desensitize an idea or something like that. They make you think it's fantasy. So there's just I watched this stuff about all these centralized consequences, or these centralized powerful things that have happened in this world that have resulted in where we are now in terms of media control, and media really gets me, man. Ever since COVID and I watched videos like that, I never really cared about the news because my dad forced it down our throat every breakfast. So I never watched the news anyways. But ever since that stuff, I every article I've ever read in my life after that, I'm like, this is disgusting. They're just grabbing your attention, right? It used to be an art. It used to be an art. Journalism used to be an art. And now it's an art of the manipulation of the human mind, right?
Yeah, there's feeding you fear. And I tell my mom all the time, I'm like, you got to stop watching news because it's just ruining your life because you're just scared to live your life. Yeah. Because she's always like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to get shot. And it's like, so you just want me to stay indoors and not live my life because I'm scared that something bad's going to happen? Not to say that something bad can't happen, but what's the alternative to not live my life?
Exactly. And I think just by the 30 minutes we've had, I think we're all smart enough people to weigh the reality, get, like you said, get shot. It's well, all right, thanks for the thanks for the concern, Mom. On my way home, sure, I'll look behind me just to make sure no one's following me, but I'm not gonna not go out and not live my life, because that's this new kind of wave of fear being injected, and it's already conformed so many people so far. But I think that it's really important to listen to our gut. And that's why I was saying, it's all right, Mom, I think you're being a little exaggerated. Sure, just to respect you, I'll, watch my back when I go home, but I'm not going to not go out or not live my life.
Well, and I also think because they do play off of fear a lot. Most people are good people. A vast majority of people are good. And even in our space, it's really easy to see that. I've made a lot of deals with people through DMs, and usually I use escrow, obviously, every time. But I've been scammed before, and I think a lot of us have, right? Maybe you bought a fake asset before checking the policy ID or whatever. And then you get this distrust for the world, and you're like, oh, everybody's evil. And what's a shame about that is, if you live in constant fear of evil, then you'll never find the good. And one of the proofs that people are generally good is when you drive on the road, at any point in time, somebody could just decide to run into your car and kill you if they really wanted to. But most people just go down their path, do their thing. You know, like, of course, I think you live in LA. There's probably some people a little bit more aggressive over there, right? But like, I don't think most people are out there to light the world on fire. It's few and far between, and so you can't like you gotta proceed with caution. If you're walking down like a dark, creepy alley in a bad neighborhood, you know, watch your back, run, be on a phone call, do something smart, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like when it prohibits you from living, when it prohibits you from building relationships, then that is harmful, and you're not going to grow. And ultimately, you're probably going to be less happy because you prohibit yourself from doing all those things than if you just took the risk, you know?
100%, dude. There's this song where there's a line where it goes, what's life without risks? If you take none, is probably what you're going to get.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good line.
Yeah. That's Big Sean. He's actually really good.
I love Big Sean, dude.
Good,
yeah. I like him too. John's laughing in the back. You said that when you get scammed once, or when you get wronged once, then you kind of have this vision that everything is bad, right? I want to point out, I think it's really interesting how when we get one wrong, our ego decides to protect us, or thinks it's protecting us by then telling us everything's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how it's trying to. But if we, as humans, understand how our brains work, then we can kind of walk through that, right? Because initially, if I walk down the street and then I get like punched in the face or something, I'm definitely gonna be on watch for a bit. But that's because like my body's naturally trying to protect me. But if I stay on watch for the rest of my life and now I can't even go on a walk, you know, that's where you go down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when you need to realize that like, all right, I need to, you know, see what's going on here. And then that's just, I like to support critical thinking. And that's my big life goal, to eventually be able to get to a point. I want to possibly, like, I don't know how it's going to end up, you know, you never say never. I have no idea what 10, 20 years could look like, but I want to eventually open up private schools where I can encourage critical thinking and kind of give kids what, just to try a bunch of different things, right? Because our public schools, and even I would say the majority of private schools, just kind of right, give the basics and just kind of bred in this kind of walk in a straight line kind of society, right? Obviously it's a little black and white, but I personally want to open up private schools and figure out a way to help critical thinking, really, and just creativeness. Like I grew up, my parents didn't really help me like try so many things. I was in love with basketball and they saw that, but it wasn't too much. I actually started learning guitar at like 13, but I only did it for like 2 months because they just stopped taking me to lessons. And then I grew up working from age like 13 until COVID, so like 22, 23 years old. And then I had no work and I was like, all right, what do I do? And so I started picking the guitar back up again, and my buddies started giving me lessons, and I self-taught myself. And then I opened this whole realm in my brain that I had no idea existed of creativity. And I started learning how to use it and practicing how to use it. And I had a big creative side of me that was basically suppressed all my life. And so that's why I want to be able to, because I think it's important in your early years, right before 25. So I want to be able to open up these schools where, again, critical thinking, and the ability for kids to try everything and gravitate towards what they like. Now, there is something to be said. It's like, you know, my path is my path, and maybe it's supposed to go like this, and maybe all that pent up creativity is really coming out now. And who knows, maybe if I was playing guitar all my life, then it wouldn't have been so juicy. But
you'd just be some jaded, awesome guitar player.
You would own any NFTs.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening to my tangent, but I hope that gave a good idea of, I don't know, I guess who I am at this point. But
No, that's great. And I couldn't share the sentiment enough about just the educational system that we have right now, and how much it lacks in that. It's more of like you said, a conformity school than critical thinking school. Unless you like really stand out and you get taken under the wings of like the higher education people,
Yeah.
But that's, it doesn't happen for everybody. So not everybody's given that opportunity. So I think that's really admirable. I like it. I hope you do that. I hope you follow through with that goal of yours.
Thank you.
I think it's also like one of the cool things about this space, because I'm half Korean. I grew up in a household where I was told to be like a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Those are my three choices in my life. And I decided to go to school for programming. I was a CET major. And when I got out, I got into sales, and my mom was like distraught. And I like freestyle rapping. I like making videos. Like there's all this stuff that I love doing on my creative side. But my mom never wanted that for me.
And she couldn't understand
really restricted it.
Yeah,
exactly. And she wanted it for other reasons, because she wanted me to have a safety net and take the safe path.
So again,
ironically,
that comes around to the kind of living in fear.
Exactly. Exactly.
Circle.
And like I actually ended up getting back into engineering, ironically. But when I got back into this NFT space, I was actually grateful for the more like regimented background I have, because it has helped me. But what's been super cool is I'm able to bring back that creative side of myself. Like I'm the Shillamania champion, right? Because I rap, and like I never thought my rapping would like ever come back into fruition. I make like animation, so a lot of our videos I get to make like. We're world building, so coming up with these like funny stories, interweaving our utility into our like actual world that we have. I love the creative side of this, because it is a muscle that I've been kind of asked to repress a lot of my life.
I'm on the same wavelength as you there, man. I'm with you 100%.
Hell yeah, let's get it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do again what I did the first time, which is create a career for myself doing what I love. And I love talking about crypto, and I love being in this space. So if I can turn that into a career, I'd be really, really happy. So that's what I'm working towards right now.
I have a candid question for you. So obviously, being the bass player of Good Charlotte, you have performed many times, I'm assuming. I don't think a lot of humans ever get to experience what that is like to perform on stage in front of hundreds and thousands of people. Can you share a little bit about that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I definitely never took it for granted. I loved every show, even the bad ones. Yeah.
What's that like? What's that like where you just feel like you didn't hit it that night? Or do you know before you start performing that like, oh, this night is not going to be as good? Or
well, like one time I knew before we were playing in Italy, and we went out to dinner, and they gave us like a 7-course meal. And then we went from that straight to stage. and I took a hit of some sticky icky.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I couldn't move because I was so full. And then I also I straight up like forgot the bridge.
You blanked
that
out.
happens, when you're playing the second pre-chorus and you're like, oh shit, do we go to the first chorus or do we go to the...
Yeah.
Oh no, where do we go?
Totally. Just like lose your presence. Yeah. Wow.
But
interesting.
Yeah, no, playing music and touring the world actually is a big contributing factor to me in this space too, because I've gotten to see a lot of the world, and I've seen how much of an impact that like crypto can make. I see people with phones all over the world. They can have access to this stuff.
Right.
So,
right. I think a lot of people probably don't even understand that piece.
Pick up, keep playing your guitar, and you'll get in front of your crowds. Right.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I'll be crowd surfing.
Oh, I would love that.
Hell yeah. I still love going to shows. I just went to one last night. It's the best thing about living near San Francisco is bands come through all the time. You know what's up with that in LA, but yeah, it's nice going out to live shows. It's one of the best experiences. And so I've been working crazy hard, and in that hour and a half set with that band that I loved, it was Nothing Nowhere. I just got to forget about everything and just enjoy the music. And I danced, which I didn't even expect myself to do that, but I danced and just really let loose. And I just forgot how much fun that is. And to bring that experience to people at a show, to let them all just forget about their worries and just have fun with you and sing the songs, it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a great job. And I'm very blessed to have had it or have it.
What do you think attracts you to a song or a sound? What is, like, how do you hear music?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I really like lyrics. They mean a lot to me. So that's a big part of the music for me. But then when it comes to like sonically and just like types of music I like, I tend to like more minimalistic stuff. Like I like metal, but when it's like Rammstein, where it's just like a 4 on the floor beat, just like kind of simplified, but then with like a really dope riff over it. I listen to a lot of hip hop, so I like acts that bend the genres together. I always appreciate that. I'm just a big fan of music, to be honest with you. I don't really hate on a lot of music, but I will hate on some cheap lyrics, though.
Right, cheap. So what does that mean to you?
Like you just copped out, or like I don't know. I don't want to like give examples because
totally.
Let's just rag on artists and other projects. Make a bunch of enemies.
Exactly. No, and that's like kind of, that was good. Charlotte's mantra too, is if you go around treating people well, then they'll treat you well the next time you come around. So
100%. Because I have a question for you, as someone who likes to create. So sometimes when I write lyrics, sometimes what I'll do is I'll literally just exercise the creativity in my brain, and I'll just literally write words that come to my brain, and eventually either it makes sense or then I kind of make it make sense. And that's why I asked you, like, what is cheap to you? Because to me, sometimes I'll literally write the lyrics for a whole song in like 10 to 15 minutes just because it worked. And then I think to myself, I'm like, oh wait, was that too fast, or like was that just fun?
I mean, so cheap to me is like, and like I said, I'm going to come off as an asshole, but like how many country songs are there where a pickup truck is mentioned, or like they just kind of regurgitate same lyrics.
Got it.
And there's just different genres that just kind of do that, where they're not saying anything original or anything new.
Got it.
Or just provoking new thoughts, or just expressing their own original ideas, know?
I hear you. I hear you there.
You know what I mean by that? So that's what I mean by cheap in that regard. Yeah.
Have you, are any of you fans of Tame Impala?
Yeah.
I actually saw them pretty recently here, yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
I'm in love with them. Like, total fanboy, 100%.
Sick.
Yeah, all day long I'll listen to them. I can hear it in my music. I just love it. I also love the Strokes. So Tame Impala and the Strokes.
Oh, yeah. I love Reptilia. That's like my favorite running song.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect beat to run to.
I wonder what it is about that song, man. It's literally, I think it's their most popular song probably, and they made it. It was one of their first albums, I think, first or second.
Those musicians are so good.
Yeah, and like you said, minimalistic. I mean, in my opinion, they keep it very simple, but they just have a passion to them, and fucking I love
some of those guitar parts are not simple though.
That's true. In the
some of those songs.
Yeah, like in the earlier albums, like the song Razorblade, or
exactly.
Yeah, that shit is great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Great song.
But what's funny is that I don't gravitate towards those songs just for some reason. I'm not in love with that, but I just love I love the simple shit. Are you familiar with their new album?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did it just come out?
No, it came out like in 2020.
Oh, then I'd probably listen to it then.
I gotta bump that.
Yeah, they have some great songs there, and to me, I just so click with just how they move and how they groove, and yes, rhyme intended. I just love them. So yeah.
When they first came out, I was a hater.
Totally.
Oh, really?
Okay, so that's really interesting. Were they? Did you feel they were like super like new and different at the time? Is that what made you a hater?
No, it was the opposite. I was like, they're just ripping off the 70s.
Interesting.
And then being from like the punk rock scene, watching them play, I was like, they don't even move on stage.
They don't, dude. I saw them in October at the Forum, and I had a great time. But it definitely, either I had higher expectation or they were a little lackluster. But I had a great time nonetheless.
Yeah, no, same. So I actually flew down to LA to see them like 8 years ago, or maybe even more now. And yeah, it was. But by then, so the first time I saw them, we played a festival together in England. And yeah, I was watching them on the monitor with the guys from AFI and the guitarists from AFI. And I was like commenting like, man, they're not even moving.
They're not, dude.
And he looks back at me and is like, I love this band.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, well, they're not even moving.
But you know what's so, it's like so, it's so like, stoic, like almost. Have you watched The Mandalorian?
It's intentional.
Have you watched The Mandalorian by chance? The Star Wars, just that like stoic, slow, like Western, dramatic, right? Like you said, intentional. I love it.
Yeah, but then I spent time with the music, and then fell in love with the songs. So when I went and saw them in LA, I didn't care that they didn't stand there. I just went off to the song.
Totally. What are some of the songs that resonate with you, like off the bat?
It's like albums more so than songs. What is the album that Razorblade is on? It's like their second album, I believe. First Impressions of Earth.
That one.
Yeah, like that one. So, because I'm an album guy, I like putting a record on and letting it play all the way through. That's what I prefer.
It's
I
like
prefer
a movie for you.
Pieces.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that one, and then the album that Reptilia is on, which is
I don't remember the names either, to be honest, but I know exactly.
Right now,
I know what they look like. There's black, there's orange, there's red, and there's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I know all the Strokes albums, by their colors.
But yeah, it's a good album, especially First Impressions of Earth, to just put on when you got to drive. You know, you just let it play from beginning to end.
Totally. Is the virtually made thing in your background intentionally VM for Veggie Mates and virtually made at the same time?
Well, you described it perfectly earlier. Coincidentally intentional.
I
like
used
that.
both.
It was something in like, we were like, okay, we started as Veggie Mates, so we want to keep the VM, but we want to have a broader brand. And so actually our artist came up with it, virtually made, and we're like, oh, that's it.
It's really good. It's really good, guys. I like it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I like that. So was that the virtual company that you were talking about in that Twitter space 2 days ago?
Correct. Yeah, that's what we're incorporated under, is virtually made, and
cool,
then
like
Veggie Mates and Junkies are IP under the brand.
I heard you guys were making a tower defense game.
Yeah.
Dude, I grew up wasting so much time on my PC playing tower defense games. I love tower defense.
That's why we want to do one.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah, it's so like funny. One of my favorite game types.
Dude, I still have this game downloaded on my phone. Downloaded on my phone. And I only play it when I get on an airplane. It's
it's perfect because you don't need internet.
It's Balloons Tower Defense.
Balloons TD.
Yeah. Balloons TD.
Bro.
Yeah. I literally, because like I don't have as much time for gaming these days, but I still could jump on a TD game, you know, try to knock out a level, do a challenge.
Dude, fuck yeah. I
love puzzles and all that stuff. So we wanted to create something that, like, one, we enjoyed, and two, that felt realistic, right? We're not going to build out like this 3D world or anything like that.
I think it's a great idea. I haven't heard, last time I heard of a relevant tower defense game or even anything in the NFT space as a whole was Bloons Tower. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's it's something that kind of naturally came out of the storyline, and we're trying to build it in a way where it's approachable whether you're in the crypto space or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just wanted to make a fun game, whether or not it's like blockchain,
Oh, interesting.
But we do want it to be blockchain.
So then Virtually Made would be like the brand behind that, or would you do a Veggie Mates tower defense game?
It's Veggie Mates versus Junkies tower defense.
Cool.
But like we were talking about this earlier today, but having that bigger vision of like our mantra is own your entertainment. And we could build this ecosystem out. Like once we get the Veggie Mates versus Junkies IP really solid, there's totally an opportunity to like build a fighting game, right? Or to build like I would love to build like a Streets of Rage game. And the comics are also a big part of it because we definitely want to like do a lot of world building. So if there's one thing you'll see, like if you look through the Veggie Mates and soon the Junkies collection, our artist does a good job of giving them a lot of personality. Like when you see them, they like kind of pop off, and you can kind of like hear a little voice in your head of like,
totally.
Yeah, totally. And so we really want to bring those characters to life, and I think starting with the Veggie Mates and Junkies and really understanding like, okay, this technology that we're building, how can we apply this to another franchise? Because when you build technology, it's not limited to one franchise. And so we were on the space the other day talking about our franchise pass, and the way that works is like you get to customize and augment your NFT to your liking. And I think that's where it's going to be really cool as we expand the brand out, get beyond Veggie Mates and Junkies to still carry that over, where you get to customize your entertainment and you actually get to own what the experience is.
And what incentivizes people to want to do that?
So like if you think about a franchise where Batman or Spider-Man or whatever, right? They always do these new renditions. Like, how many Batmans have there been?
Like 700.
A bunch of them. And why do they keep doing that? Because they're trying to appeal to a new demographic, right? They're trying to like put a little different twist on it. And if you watch the last one versus the one before that, they keep changing a little bit. And but let's say there's like 10, 15 different Batmans out there. What if you got to decide who Batman was in your story? So Batman was your version, and there were 10,000 versions of Batman.
Dude, okay, I have, me and my buddy are we're like total comic nerds, and we always say like, fuck man, these guys finished this show terribly, or we would have done this whole movie, this show so different, or we just keep dreaming about how like, man, if we could give our input, we know like the whole world would like this so much better. So we always just like tease ourselves with that, or like, oh, it should have been like this, should have been like that. So I think that's what you're touching on, right?
That's the vision. Yeah. Like we really want people to be able to control their entertainment, to own it. And like where it would get really cool, and I think like this is one of our hopes for utility, is like if you could actually create your own entertainment, and then maybe you make a really dope story. Maybe you make a really dope comic with your custom vigilante. Well, now you can like sell that on the marketplace and market it out, right?
Right.
And those are things you can't do in the traditional world. I can't take Spider-Man and start selling Spider-Man comics.
Right.
I'd probably get sued very quickly by Disney if I did that. So
Disney,
that's
Sony,
the difference.
No one knows.
What's that?
Disney, Sony, no one fucking gets it anymore. I don't know
exactly. And that's where I think this technology is going to make it different. And I really do think that's where we can push the envelope on the entertainment industry. is by giving people the ownership, some control over their entertainment. And it's just like a lot of the ownership right now is focused on monetary, which is huge, right? Of being your own bank, owning like your actual money. Like you don't own your money when you give it to a bank. You're lending it out to them and you're asking for it back. So it is a big part, but like, why don't we take that same concept into the art world? And that's the whole thought about making Virtually Made an entertainment company, not like a blockchain or token company.
I want to put that phrase you just said on the wall, dude. You said you don't have your money, you lend your money or whatever. You lend your money to a bank and then you ask for it back.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I have a story. So I bought gold because I like to diversify my assets. Not like I'm a gold maxi, but I wanted some gold. And so I went to the gold place right across the street to my bank. I go to the bank to get cash to pay for the gold, and they say, "Oh, wait, you want that much money? You want your own money? No, you gotta give us like a week notice to get your money." I'm like, "Wait, haven't I been letting you borrow this interest free for like the last 10 years? And I can't even get my own money from my own bank. So I had to literally wait a week to get my money."
Wow.
And that's a great example of like, you don't own your money. And then let's say I get tired of my bank. I'm like, I'm done with this bank, or I'm done with this trading platform. This happened to me with Robinhood, actually. I was like, I'm fed up with them. I'm going to get out. I got to sell all my assets. I got to wait, whatever, 5 days for it to transfer into my bank. I got to open up a new account. I need to put my money in there. And again, I'm giving them my money to hold. I don't actually own that money. Versus with crypto and dApps,
right?
I actually
people
own my
don't get
assets.
this. People don't get this. People don't get it.
I hate this platform. I don't like this marketplace. I don't like this DEX. Okay, let me go connect to another one. I'm done. I don't need to transfer my money out because I own it.
Right. Yeah, people really don't get that. You know, they see their money in the bank and they think that it's like, you know, it's fucking there. And of course, it's rare that anyone's ever had a problem other than like big crises, which I'm not super. I don't know if people had trouble getting money in 2008. I wasn't. I don't think I was making money back then, but I don't know if there was trouble then. I know there was trouble like in the 30s or something. People were like storming there would be so many people outside of a bank, like hundreds of people outside of a bank, and you know the bank was like sorry, you know, long story short. And
they took gold from people too. They banned gold and made it illegal.
Wow.
And grabbed everybody's gold from them. Like, not to say it's gonna happen, but like,
right,
if they decide to say, hey, we're taking everybody's money,
then they
can do that.
Exactly, but they cannot do it with crypto if the whole world agrees that crypto is valuable.
It was interesting because the thing happened in Canada with like the truckers on the border, and then they attacked their bank accounts and froze their funds, which to me, like that is a scary thought. And then on the flip side, similar things happened in Ukraine. They put all these on Russia, where they put all these restrictions on Russia.
Right.
Where I actually have a finance buddy. He said, isn't this a reason you don't want to do crypto? Because like the fact that we were able to tighten these restrictions on Russia is hurting them. And I'm like, that scares me that like we could just sign a bill to like restrict trade and all these things and like financially screw another country just signing a couple documents.
And you know what's interesting is that I'm sure there's a popular belief that a lot of people felt bad for those truckers that had their stuff frozen. Now I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. That fucking sucks. But the banks did that because they're allowed to, or the government or whatever. So they, you know, if you read the fine print, which of course no one does or cares, I guess they're kind of allowed to if you're doing something illegal. But if you have crypto, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that correction. That they deem is illegal, or, you know, so it's if they had all their money in crypto, obviously there would be nothing to freeze. Although, then when they needed to, if they didn't have someone who accepted crypto, see, that's the problem. Is we're so early. That's not a problem. It's a opportunity. It's a gift that we're all here so early in crypto. where like I just said in that example, like not very many people accept it yet, but there's no one that's thought about accepting it and then not accepted it. There's just there's just people who haven't thought about accepting it yet. But,
yeah, and I like, this is one of our core beliefs is when the currency, the value of currency is the exchange of goods and services. Right. So a currency is only good if I could get stuff with it. That's why dollars are real to us, because we could get things with them. Right. Right now, when we look at the different blockchains, or we look at ADA, there's only so much product to exchange right now. Most of it's time, right? Like if you're paying for marketing services or developers or an artist, like a lot of what you're paying for there is time. But as we continue to develop products, as content actually gets developed, now there's more goods, right? So I think we have mostly services, but there aren't a lot of goods in the ecosystem. So if we keep building out content, that's what gives the currency a purpose. If there's no content, then it is all speculation. Then there's this hope of what the currency's worth. But we actually have to have goods and services. And as long as we as builders keep developing and creating those things, then I'm going to start thinking in ADA. I'm not going to think in dollars anymore, right? Because how many of this good can I get for ADA? I'm not thinking of, what's the price of that thing in dollars, which a lot of us think like that anyways. If I buy something for X amount of ADA today, I don't really think about the dollar amount. I think about the ADA amount. Right.
And I'm in that same boat too. And obviously a lot of people who aren't on that same wavelength will say, well, I don't care what you say. If you spent it back then when it was $3 and now you sold it for now when it's 50 cents, obviously you're losing money. And it's like, okay, your argument isn't invalid, but that's not what I'm going for here, and I've thought this way for a while. And sure, in the short term, sometimes, I didn't, all right, now I'm tangenting. I didn't think $3 was the top. And so I didn't sell anything. I mean, maybe I sold like a very minute amount, but I'm all in ADA. And in the past few months, I had to make sure that I was like, all right, if it doesn't, moon like I think it will, like, I need some liquid. So what kind of sucks is I was kind of, a step ahead. So I kind of tripped over myself. But I guess you just always got to prepare and make sure that, just make sure that you're good for, I don't know, a few years in case a bear market came. Kind of just dropping my experience and alpha on
totally. And what's hard to do is disconnect emotions and not beat yourself up so much for not selling at the peak or whatever, or buying at the bottom. You just can't. You'll eat yourself alive, just like with thoughts. Like you won't sleep at night. Right. When I first got into this, I tried to do day trading.
I tried. I didn't. Yeah.
You'll lose your mind. Yep. You'll lose your mind.
Yeah.
So it's hard to detach that, its price or its value to the dollar. But if you can do that, then you won't. Or if you're just really in it for the long run, then you don't need to worry about whether you sold it or not. Yeah,
that's what I was kind of getting at. Is that that I think that this way of thinking will serve us. That like, I bought it for 1 ADA and now I sold it for 10 ADA. I think that will serve us in the long run. You just have to. Be prepared to expand that word long, or just make sure that long means just like at least a few years, Yeah.
You as long as the building's happening, like that's literally, I think that's the key.
I've never like been, it's so funny when people text you and say, Cardano's going down. It's like, dude, Cardano is not going down. It's just the price that people are fucking trading at right now because the world is in fear. Right, but it's like, dude, Cardano has never stopped building the minute they came out in 2017, or the minute whenever they probably started building before that, but it's
so funny because like I'm the crypto guy amongst all my friends. I'm sure both of you two are amongst your friends, and they only hit you up when shit's booming or sinking, right?
Right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because my company, I IPO'd at like, I think $20-$30. And then when COVID hit, our stock went to the moon. Like
DocuSign,
it went to like $300 or something like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, we're growing, but like, why is the price this high? Like we're doing really good things, but this valuation makes zero sense to me. Like we're pulling in $1 to $2 billion of revenue. We're valued at $50 billion. Like where's the logic here? And you know, and then now we're coming back down to earth. The reality though is we haven't changed anything we're doing. We're still building at the same pace. We're hiring at the same pace.
But what's interesting is that the whole world made a fucking big pivot. That was like, you know, obviously I'm sure you get the fucking logic. But what I'm saying is it's like, yes, nothing changed on your guys' end, but in essence, they're expecting a lot more people to be knocking on your door soon, which is all speculation, which brings you to your point of like, why are we going up so hard? Like, let it perform.
Yeah, and I think there's like a hype curve that's kind of like this. And then there's an underlying curve of like actual reality building going on. Yeah. And whatever this is, like you could try to time that, but like I try to buy things based off of that more linear growth because long term, like I do try to buy things I believe in. And you know what? I own some Luna. And sometimes you get hit and sometimes you lose, right? You're not going to be right every single time. But at the end of the day,
influence, I own some Luna too.
Hey, it was doing great until 5 days ago.
It's crazy. It was.
Yeah, I bought $37 worth today.
Oh, did you?
You got like 100,000 of them?
Yeah, like 400. I got the entire Luna supply today for $37.
Oh man, I don't even know what it's at right now. I haven't looked.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's less than a penny right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It says it's down 100%.
Oh my god,
that's brutal.
I had a project that I knew it was speculative, but I did bet a good amount on it because I had a feeling that they were just gonna come out, and I still own it, but it's called Kin, Kin.
Mm-hmm.
It's on.
Yeah. I know that Kin.
Yeah, I have a lot of it. But I haven't checked.
You got a bag of Kin?
Yeah.
Just waiting?
Yeah.
Just waiting.
I haven't checked the price in months on end. But I know it's at zero.
Because of coins like that is why I have like over 200 in my portfolio.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to throw like a couple $100 in this and get 100,000 of them and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then Dogecoin happens. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll continue to practice that strategy.
Yeah, because I guess so. You just never know.
Yeah.
You only need to be right a couple times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to be patient enough. That's the thing, right? I always say to people are always trying to get in on the wave, but it's like, nah, man. If you really want to hit it and understand it, you gotta be in the water before the tsunami hits, and it's gonna fucking come. You won't see it coming either.
Yeah.
Exactly. And anybody who's out there telling you, oh, that is gonna happen, and they're predicting the future, I'm always weary of that person. Like, unless you're very well off, like I don't know why I should believe you, because for me, my whole investment theory is I don't know the market. I don't know the timing. So I'm just going to go in with the assumption that I'm not going to predict this right. But do I believe in this thing in 5-10 years from now?
Right.
And that's like, that is how we're trying to build. And that's like our attitude right now, because it gets challenging sometimes battling hype, right? And we were talking about this the other day, but when you don't take the traditional method, you don't get on the hype train. And a lot of what we're doing is different. And I it's like, okay, we might not be like getting this stupid amount of hype right now because we're not following the trend or the formula everybody else is doing, but we're thinking about this very long term in terms of what we're building. And as long as we believe in our long-term vision, what's going on in these 6 months or this next year is irrelevant. As long as we keep the fire going, as long as there's still like some flame, right? It can't just be build, head down, not market,
but you guys,
not do anything.
You guys communicate with the community for sure.
Yeah, turns out that's a very big part of it.
So they say.
Yeah, if nobody knows you exist, then nobody knows you exist.
Yeah, it's really controversial with zombie chains for Cardano, Dan, because he won't dox himself. He won't talk in a Twitter space, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that holds their project back. And obviously, they tried to, they have Brian, the artist, and he talks here and there, but it's like it's just not the same. It doesn't hit the same, the person that is behind the whole thing. I think they are a good team. Like I think that without either of them, their project wouldn't be what it is, which no one knows what it is. But like I think it's really.
We do. We're familiar.
I have like 250 zombies.
Oh wow.
Oh what?
Yeah, I went.
And like Serge says this, but the hardest part of a project is after you sell out your mint. It's not selling out the mint's insanely hard, by the way. It is not easy to sell out a mint, but what's harder is the fortitude it takes after the fact, right? And for any project out there, like I know Bitfins is a project I'm a big fan of, because like he just builds, he just constantly building. He had a very slow mint, but like he never stopped building, he never stopped putting in the time and effort. And to me, I really think that it's something people don't value enough yet, because they are so focused on the short term hype.
So focused on the flip, right? And that none of that. I mean, it's such a brand new space, right? Like it's a year old. No one knows what it looks like yet when you just build and you are successful. I think a good mixture of hype and just build is Dead Pixels, in my opinion, because they like the game's not out yet, and their floor is 3,000 ADA with 10,000 pieces, or even more at this point in terms of ADA, but there's been, it's not that there hasn't been hype. The name goes around a lot, but there's no like hype train, right? Yeah. It's just the only hype train is just prices going up, and people are like, wait, why are these pixelated images going
Well, if you check out their white paper, you can see that they're not just blowing smoke. I mean, that's what's going on with them. Yeah.
Exactly. I had a great time with AF conversing with him. They are that game is gonna be nuts. I think that whole brand is gonna be nuts. He gets it on every. In my opinion, he gets it on every street. Like, just fucking solid. Like, he gets that, you know, marketing will come, but it's not gonna be in the traditional way. He said in the podcast, he's like, well, we're gonna the route we'll go is not marketing, not partnering with blank, Snoop Dogg, whatever, not partnering with them, but getting some pro gamers to stream it or Twitch it or whatever, you know, and to grow from inside out. So I think
product placement.
Yeah,
is what that essentially is. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it, and I think that's a smart inside out way, as opposed to just like, you know, just merely advertising. Because if you don't have anything to advertise, then it's gonna be inflated, right?
I was camping and I was building up a fire, and like it takes a while. I was trying to cook, so I needed some coals, and I threw a paper bag in there, and it's just like made this big old flame, and then it disappeared, and it didn't actually help anything.
Right.
It just lit on fire.
Wow.
And this like analogy
Great
kicked
analogy.
into my head, right? It's like you need to throw some kindling in there. You got to get the fire going, right? So that's where the marketing, the hype does have a role. But if you're not building the logs underneath, you're not going to be able to cook your food. You're not going to create coals.
Right.
But if all you're doing is just throwing logs and you're trying to start a fire, I don't know if you've ever tried to start a fire with just logs. I did that when I was younger, like an idiot. It took me like 3 hours of holding my lighter and like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So you do need that combination of the two, right? You need the kindling, you need a little bit of paper to get it going, but you really got to build those logs.
Yeah, you sure do. It's just like building a building without foundation, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Brian, that analogy was fire.
All right, you're officially banned for 5 minutes, Paul.
Like a good dad joke.
Totally.
Yep, I'm good for him.
Totally. What do you want to tell us about VeggieMates? What else? I feel like we honestly got the important stuff, like who you guys are and what your vision is.
Yeah. Well, we're very doxxed. I highly advise you guys to check out our website, look at our profiles on there. We got our LinkedIn. It is something that we take a lot of pride in. Like we said, we want to build a career in this space, and the logic for us is, why wouldn't we want to build our resumes? If we really believe in what we're building, and we really do want to get jobs in this space, like
that's
why
so true.
why not put it on there?
Mm-hmm.
So I that is one thing I feel strongly about. It's not that we're just docs, not that you just see my face, but like the actual career experience.
To me, it says we're in it to win it.
Yeah, we really are, and we're doing things differently. And I know it's a saying that people say like, oh, we're gonna change the game, but like just look at what we're doing. There's a lot of creative things. First of all, no one's got a vegetable versus junk food NFT to my knowledge, so we're not like a derivative of anything.
Burning
no,
question.
No coattails. What's up?
Burning question. What gravitated you guys to build this? So I know you guys are virtually made, which means you won't stop at VeggieMates, but like what gravitated you towards like, all right, let's begin with vegetables?
Mr. Potato Head was like our inspiration, and then like our artist drew a banana, and then we knew there was like a big like European or Australian population, and so we came up with the name like VeggieMates, had like a nice ring to it, like, oh, let's build this community based on better wellness. And they're like, oh wait, there needs to be a counterpart. And then we were talking about like a meat adversary, and then we're like, oh, what if it was like candy and stuff like that? And then the second the Junkies came out, it was like, oh, VeggieMates versus Junkies, like that's it. And then and then what's crazy, so like we're releasing our greens token. It's set for June. That's what's brewing in the lab behind me, is a bunch of greens. and we figured out a way to make our token a central focus of our story. So what is really cool about Veggie versus Junkies is like, because the personality and the art, like we could get very creative with it. And so the Veggie consume the greens in like natural ways. So they like smoke it, drink it in tea, eat it, because they're a little bit more natural. Where the Junkies, they like distill it in the lab, they inject it in their veins, they take it as pills, and they're taking a more potent form. And so that's why the Junkies live above ground and the Veggie are underground. But then a couple Veggie decide, you know what, we're gonna take greens the Junkies way. And so you'll see in our trailer, Veggie like injecting the greens, and like that turns them into like a vigilante. And it's just really cool because that's a token we're actually releasing, but it's a huge part. It's like the central focus of our story as well.
And why are you releasing what do you need the token for?
So when we talk about like the franchise pass, so what's going to happen is the Veggie are going to be able to eat your Junkies, or your Junkies are going to be able to eat your Veggie. And when a Junkie eats a Veggie, it becomes the Crumb Lord. When a Veggie eats a Junkie, it becomes a Vigilante. And so what's going to happen is there's going to be like metadata augmentations. And so you'll be able to change your name. You'll be able to like customize and add a theme song to your Vigilante. And then we have like another max tier bonus that we can't release yet, but it has something to do with unlocking the power of greens. But the vision we have there is creating, like, you know, we've all got that NFT that we love 9 out of 10 things about it, and there's like one little thing I was like, I just wish it was this other one. So what we're envisioning is this experience where you actually get to like customize your NFT.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about earlier, like the Batman situation where you get to like put your character into it. So you get to build your Vigilante kind of like to your liking. And greens are going to be a part of that whole experience, right? So greens are how you make the augmentation. And then when you view the comic, we want to make it so like you can take that and you can put that perfect version, which it should be individual to you, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
We still want it to be a one of one for you. So that'd be one example. Like the token would be another one. Big PT's actually been pumping out like a good amount of music behind the scenes as well. So there's some options there. But yeah, the concept of owning your entertainment and creating this entertainment ecosystem, everything's going to be oriented around greens within that ecosystem.
I'm going to make a tweet really quick.
Is that your Twitter face?
The Junkies haven't minted yet, right?
May 18th they mint, yeah.
Next week.
Alright, I just made the tweet.
Hanging on the edge of my seat now.
Hey John, can I have some water?
There you go. Nice.
I want some veggies. It seems like fun, man. It honestly seems like fun. You know, a lot of people will probably be like, you know, are you crazy? A space butts for veggies? Well, it's like, well, I have like 180 space butts, so I don't mind trading one for a bundle of veggies, you know? Because I just want to have fun with you guys, so I don't have... Honestly, to keep it real with you, I don't have like liquidity anymore to where I could... You're spilling the water on yourself. Thank you. I don't have liquidity where I can just go like sweep floors like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why if I acquire any new NFTs. I just trade.
I know a guy who owns a lot of veggies.
I know, but I don't want his.
No.
I want to take them from people who don't want to, who want to get rid of theirs.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The hype's been high recently. No, I appreciate that. Like, one of the hardest things for us is most people don't enjoy vegetables. Like, they grew up, being forced to eat vegetables, and so
there's a banana in there.
There's a banana and a watermelon, but like a lot of people don't take the time to look under the hood, and we got a pretty good engine.
Well, that's the thing is that honestly, I have a hard time taking it seriously.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah,
like these are profile pictures of vegetables, but that's like you said, that's my fault, and I think a lot of people's downside right now is that. I mean, I think this will kind of last forever, but it's all about a first impression, right? If you don't like the art, it's hard to keep looking. Like naturally, like if you aren't a fan of, or you just don't resonate with the art. Not if you don't like the art or think it's, whatever you think about it. If you don't resonate with it completely, it's hard to look under the hood, like you said. But I just want to like be a part of the thing with you guys. So that's why I tweeted
Sick.
that. I'm not saying like veggies are gonna take over space, but just to be clear with everybody. Just to be clear, like I want some veggies. So.
Yeah, well, that's what's up, man. I really do think like because we finished our Junkies, like the metadata. We're looking through all the generations today, and I think that people where the veggie art might not have resonated with them, I think the Junkies are going to bring a much different flavor to the game, and it'll be fun because there's like a veggie versus junkie war we got going on right now in our Discord and on Twitter, and the art is coming out very, very good.
What's the floor for the veggies right now?
It's been going up. It's probably like 110, 100. Yeah, I don't know.
Got it. Cool. Cool. So I can get a nice chunk for a space bud.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'll throw it out in the community too. I mean, I'd love for you to be a bigger part. Honestly, like if you're a comic nerd and you heard some of our story arcs that we got going for our comics, like we have our vigilante superheroes, and like we're writing like their personality type, their catchphrases,
Totally.
like we're intertwining them together,
well,
having all these different personas.
The newest and a lot of the best ideas in the world, like take the word best to how you may, but like they get a lot of pushback at first, or they're not really like as comfortable as they don't make they're you have to get uncomfortable sometimes to make it on the other side nice and hot. So basically what I'm saying is like I don't know, sometimes it's like I want to get excited, but I'm like, oh, like vegetables,
yeah.
But
no, for sure.
But like I'm really leaning into it,
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're stuck looking at whatever you got. So if you don't like looking at it, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, I do like
the medium we work with is visual right now, right? So artwork is definitely a big part of it.
I think
all utility aside.
Yeah, I think the art's great.
I keep saying this because it needs to go to credit for our artists, but we have different base layers as well. They're different shapes, they're different vegetable types. We have 10 different base layers plus 3 different recolors. So doing generative art with a bell pepper versus a watermelon versus a banana, it's actually a really challenging thing to do from an artistic standpoint. I don't think our artist gets a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
So I've been really trying to tout it more because I don't know if there's many, if any, projects out there that do that. I know like Ugly Bros has different layers, but like Surge is a crazy man and does those all one by one. So that's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
But which still mad respect, and there's a lot of work that goes in the art, which what's awesome about it.
Yeah.
But like same thing with our Junkies. There's going to be 12 different base layers. And I really do think that's like pushing boundaries of generative art, because I know it's funny, when I was early in the space, there's a couple projects I invested in, and then like after a week or so, I'd start looking at the art, at 2-3 a.m. at night. I'm like, this all looks the same. It's like, I'm not seeing the difference here.
I remember the hype for Soho Kids.
Yeah.
And then every single other one was the same to me. I was like, all right, they look really nice, so I went to JPEG store to go buy a couple aftermarket just to have. And then I was looking through and I was like, okay. And dude, there was like, I'm not saying that you have to have a million traits, but like, dude, there was like 6 different mounts for 5,000 pieces of art. It was like 6 or 8 or something like that, and I was like, wow, dude. And it was the same for every box. So there was multiple of the same ones, or at least if they weren't the same exact ones, it was like a different background or something. And it was just like,
right,
man. I was not a fan of.
No,
I love the art, but I was not a fan of it. That feels so rushed. Only doing 6, 7, 8 different varieties. It's weird.
I think we got 170, almost 180 traits. I think it's like 178 traits on our Junkies.
Oh, that's dope.
So our guy put in a lot of work, man.
Yeah. And I love how excited you guys are about it too. And like you said, like it really is about what's under the hood. The reason that I didn't get it, I heard about Dead Pixels in September when the floor was like 150, but I wasn't. I just for whatever reason, I skimmed by it because I was like, pixelated, just like a pixelated square, like really?
Yeah,
so I just skimmed by it. And
totally.
Luckily, I eventually got in like December. The floor did go from 150 all the way up to like 1,000 at that point, but now I get it, and now I'm really happy with all my pixels. So again, you're right. You said it really well. It's about what is under the hood, and not many people probably take a look, really.
Yeah, and the thing you said too, that like because times have been harder for us than they needed to be had we chose a different path, right? Like, if we went with a current trend, a lot of times we're like, man, we really made this hard for ourselves.
Right.
But try to be grateful for the fact that those struggles is what's making us stronger.
Dude,
and we've had to do more. Like, the reality is we got to work twice as hard to get half the results. And I think in the long term, that's what's going to make us stronger. Is we honestly haven't had it that easy. Like, and we're still a top 100 project. Like, we've really been grinding behind the scenes. We're really working on that engine. We do a lot of like public outreach. Like, we are working really hard. I do think that's going to pay off in the long run. And it's the same thing that helped me in my sales career. When I started off, I made more cold calls than everybody else. Like, if the limit was I had to make 100 calls a day, I was making 200 calls a day and I sucked. I was really bad at my job and I wasn't getting the results. But over time, you do that for 5-10 years. What ends up happening is you get on this different tier because you're not taking the easy route, because you're not getting that instant reward, right? And so what ends up happening is you build this solid foundation. So as much as sometimes we kick ourselves and we're like, oh man, we really made this hard by picking vegetables.
It's fun. Whatever.
I really did think it's making us better in the long run.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I kind of feel like we're landing here. I think it's how long has it been? Wow,
dude, it's been
2
like
hours.
2 hours. Yeah, we're gonna.
Cool, man. Dude, honestly, it was such a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
If I ever come down to LA, I'll holler at you for sure, dude.
I'm sure you will. Yeah, we can all meet in the middle too.
I'm in Seattle, so
like
technically Paul's in the middle.
You can come to California, and then we'll go to Paul.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come to the Bay.
Yeah, let's go to a show. Let's have some fun.
Hell yeah.
That's good talking to you, man.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sure like in a month or 2 or something, when Junkies progress and the battle progresses, we can have another conversation and talk about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, we'll make sure that when the video's out, we hype it up, do a little whitelist giveaway on your behalf. And,
thank you.
Get you some followers, dude. You
Cool.
deserve it.
I appreciate it, man. Dude,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, it's good talking to you.
Oh yeah.
And thanks for having us on the show, man.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you boys soon.
All right.
Later.
See ya.
Bye, guys.